Apologies again for the lateness of Friday's show and for today's show. I ran into a near total computer crash on Friday morning just as I was starting my work and lost a few hours scrambling to get a backup computer configured to handle my workflow. I rely on a lot of different files and programs, some of which I've written myself, to produce our newsletter and podcasts, so it took some time to get everything staged and ready. The good news is that even though we were 3 hours late, I was able to get everything produced as needed, and now our backup computer is more or less fully set up to handle a day's work. A good shock test to the system. This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Ease, the leading online on-demand marketplace for legal California medical marijuana delivery. But as California transitions into the new world of legalized adult use cannabis starting on January 1st, Ease will be ready. They have a team of legal experts working behind the scenes right now to encode all of the different rules and regulations for marijuana delivery in their active areas into their platform. That means that when you fire up ease.com on January 1st and place an order for delivery, you'll know exactly what your options are for getting a legal delivery made. If you live in an area that only allows for medical deliveries, Ease will let you know. Put the power of that kind of smart design to work for you by opening up ease.com for all your medical marijuana deliveries. And as of January 1st, maybe your adult use deliveries too, depending on where you live. Once again, that's ease.com, which is spelled E-A-Z-E, ease.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Monday, December 18th, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 395 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story leading off this fine Monday morning brings us out to Denver, where more information has been made available regarding last week's police raids of the Sweet Leaf marijuana dispensary chain. According to the Denver police, 13 bud tenders were arrested in the raids, which took place at various homes and Sweet Leaf dispensaries, of which there are 10 within the city. Police say the bud tenders failed to enforce rules preventing customers from buying more cannabis on a daily basis than allowed, allegedly allowing undercover agents to cycle back into the shop to buy the maximum amount of an ounce of cannabis flower a number of times in a row. The company's 26 cannabis business operating licenses have been suspended, with a formal hearing to take place by the Department of Excise and Licensing within 30 days. I'm sure we'll be following up on this one as it evolves. Our second top story of the day is also an update on an item from last week, with the Alaska Alcohol and Marijuana Control Office on Friday announcing that they were shutting down Fairbanks-based Frozen Buds, a company specializing in marijuana edibles, while also slapping company owners with a $500,000 fine. The company is alleged to have sold tens of thousands of individual products that were contaminated with mold and made from cannabis untracked by the state's seed-to-sale tracking system. In addition, Frozen Buds is said to have skirted state laws regarding testing for contamination and potency. This is a good cautionary tale to open up and read in full. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. The Los Angeles Times has a great editorial up decrying how California is structuring its rules around the size of legal marijuana farms. As the LA Times editorial board nicely lays out, California voters were told via last year's Proposition 64 that small-scale farmers would have a 5-year head start getting established in the industry before any kind of increase is made to limits restricting how large any one cultivation company can get. Unfortunately for small-scale farmers, that 5-year cushion is not included in the actual emergency rules and regulations that will be implemented starting on January 1st, with California leaving it up to towns and cities to impose whatever limits they want on how cultivators do business. The LA Times thinks that's wrong and wants protections put in place to prevent the state's cultivation market from being owned by just a few handful of giants. Another good one to read in full. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz it in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Ease, the leading online on-demand marketplace for legal California medical marijuana delivery. Regular listeners know that there are almost as many distinctly different marijuana delivery policies in the Golden State as there are distinct towns and municipalities, and I'm only exaggerating a little. That's why Ease has been working to encode those various sets of rules and regulations in regards to cannabis delivery into their platform over at ease.com. That means their customers will always know what their local options are for getting a legal delivery. If you're a medical marijuana patient living in the Golden State right now, open up ease.com to see what's available in your area. If you're not a patient but live in California, you should still open up ease.com to bookmark it. And then set yourself a calendar reminder to check back in after the year crawls over to 2018. One last time, that's ease.com, which is spelled E-A-Z-E. Ease.com. All right, time for the Blitz. Bouncing back up to Alaska for a headline, we find rumblings within the industry over how the state is taxing legal cannabis, with cultivators facing a $50 an ounce tax payable when sold to dispensaries or processors. That means for every pound of legal cannabis sold in the state, $800 is paid as taxes by cultivators. For a bit of comparison, the wholesale price of a pound of legal marijuana in markets like Colorado and California are not that much more than $1,000. That means that Alaskans are paying more for their cannabis than mainland consumers, which I guess is right in line with the fact that they pay more for most consumer goods than folks in the lower 48. Utah Senator Orrin Hatch wants to make it easier for academic researchers to study the effects of medical marijuana. On Friday, the Republican senator's spokesperson released a statement pressing for the need to simplify the process of getting FDA approval to study medical cannabis, something a bill that was introduced by Hatch in September would address. Senator Hatch's Marijuana Effective Drug Study Act of 2017, or MEDS Act, would make medical-grade cannabis more available to researchers, though it would not compel the DEA to change marijuana's designation as a Schedule I drug, the main impediment to research. 6 doctors in Louisiana have applied to become recommending agents in that state's nascent medical marijuana system, with 3 having already been approved. That figure is up from just 2 doctors in October. The state's supply of medical marijuana is being grown at 2 state universities and is expected to be available for qualifying patients later this summer. The San Francisco Gate has a good article up diving into the issue of the untested marijuana and marijuana products that will be sold in California over the first half of the new year. State regulators are giving industry players a 6-month window to sell off their existing inventory of untested flower and products, which means consumers won't be fully protected from getting contaminated products until June. Nothing to panic about, but a good issue to be aware of. Sticking in California for another headline, we have a good story by the Washington Post looking at how the state is helping people convicted of marijuana crimes clean their record. Under state law, people with marijuana convictions can file to have their sentences reduced or thrown out, with at least 4,500 people already having done so since September. This is another good one to read in full, as restorative justice needs to be included in every state's legalization plans. This whole war on marijuana isn't over until everyone is home from prison with properly restored records. Edibles giant Dixie Brands just announced the resignation of its founder and CEO Tripp Keber, who is taking a leadership position with Rose Capital, an investment firm launched just this year specializing in the marijuana industry. Rose Capital is one of Dixie's larger investors, and Keber says he'll maintain an office in the company he founded with partner Chuck Smith back in 2010. Mr. Smith will now lead Dixie as president and CEO. And finally for today, the Denver Post is reporting on the slight thawing seen by some Colorado police departments in their policies around cannabis use by new recruits. The city of Denver's police department tells new recruits that they are barred from joining the force if they've used marijuana within the last 3 years, but the city of Aurora relaxed their internal policies around cannabis last year to cut that time to just 1 year. This is one of those stories I'm sure we'll be hearing back more on in the coming months and years as marijuana continues to normalize. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.